Saskatchewan. Start somewhere inside its borders, pick a direction, and you can drive for hours without ever leaving. A land as vast and varied as its rich history. It doesn't matter where you begin or where you end. It doesn't matter if you're moving or standing still. The place will come to you. It will whisper to you. It will tell you stories. It's a place full of stories. Stories of culture, stories of survival, stories of accomplishment, and stories of people. It will capture your imagination. It will become a part of you. It will move you. The words are carried upon the lips of the wind blowing gently on a warm summer's day. The air is vibrating with a confidence. The wheels are turning and the whole thing is moving forward. It's the way it ought to be, the way we planned it. When prosperity comes round, it's a pretty good feeling. Holding on to it, that's the trick.
I feel a lot happier about Agribition than anything else that I've been along to. You get to know all the people. It's great. People are honest, straightforward.
The Canadian Western Agribition is a premier agricultural show held annually in Regina. It is the only event of its kind in Canada. The show was founded by two Saskatchewan cattle breeders in 1971 who saw an opportunity to exhibit Canada's agricultural products and expertise to the world.
Chris Suter from Redverse down in the southeast part of the province come back from Denver with a vision to put on a livestock show. Chris Suter and the committee that representing all the associations decided to do it themselves.
The first Agribition was a huge success. The show focused on the cattle industry with over 2,500 livestock entries. Since its first year, Agribition has grown to include other livestock and farm animals. The show continued to expand, adding exhibitions of grain and forage, farm technology and services, a lifestyle showcase, and the second largest indoor rodeo in Canada. Also incorporated into Agribition is the Agra Education Centre. Approximately 10,000 school children tour Agra-Ed annually to learn the many different aspects of agriculture. In order to house the increasing number of Agribition programs, it was necessary to further develop the show's site, the Regina Exhibition Park. The exhibition now offers 21 acres of indoor exhibit space at Canada's second largest indoor facility. This ample space accommodates 145,000 people that attend the show and 4,000 head of livestock. Agribition boasts attendees from 9 Canadian provinces, 20 American states, and more than 40 other countries. This annual gathering means big business for farmers and the city of Regina.
I've been told by exhibitors that they can't afford not to show at Agribition. That's how important it is to their own business. The city itself, it's a heyday for them. The hotels, the businesses, and everything.
The Canadian Western Agribition has grown to be one of the largest agricultural marketplaces in North America and a valued institution in Regina.
I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, my health to better living for my club, my community, and my country.
The 4-H organization began in the early 1900s in the United States. Its original purpose was to offer agricultural education to young rural people. The club was a success and quickly expanded into Canada and Saskatchewan, becoming a valuable activity available to rural youth.
I just so much enjoyed getting together with the other kids, and I felt that I really was being accepted by all of my peers. I felt that the leaders of the 4-H club really were almost like second parents to me. There was just a real sense that they cared about me and about my projects.
There are 230 clubs in Saskatchewan open to young people between the ages of 6 and 21. Throughout the year, participants have the opportunity to complete a project in an area of their interest. At the end of the year, each club holds an achievement day to acknowledge the efforts of their members.
At the Achievement Day, they will show off their project. You know, the more known are to bring a beef animal and show it, or for woodworking, they would actually bring the projects they made and display them.
A commitment to keeping 4-H projects in step with the times in Saskatchewan has made the province a leader in programming nationwide.
When it comes to the national scene, we're really far and above most of the other provinces. Our enrollments are only behind Alberta and Ontario, and many of the other provinces really look up to Saskatchewan for leadership. We develop project materials and programs that we do share with other provinces.
While completing a project is a major focus, other valuable skills are learned throughout the year. Participants develop leadership ability, practice public speaking, and learn parliamentary procedures.
4-H kids really do stand out. They're the ones that'll step up and they'll offer to be the president or the vice president and take on those leadership roles that a lot of other people are really scared to do.
4-H also gives members an edge when they enter the workforce.
The members who are involved in 4-H are going to be the ones that are going to get the higher paid jobs. They're going to go on to higher levels of education, so really good for the individuals.
I remember when I applied for my very first job after university, and I was having an interview, and the interview I don't think was going all that well. When the interviewer finally asked a question that allowed me to talk about my 4-H experience, the interview was over and I was hired immediately.
Saskatchewan 4-H is run by 1,200 volunteers, donating their time and skills to the province's youth.
Prosperity. Holding on to it, that's the trick. Finding it, even more of a trick. Sometimes it's an illusion. Sometimes it's hanging out, walking amongst the crowd, wearing a mask. Sometimes it's a light in the darkness, easy to see, hard to find.
In 1914, Harris, Saskatchewan was a small farming community until an unlikely sequence of events transformed it into the busiest mining town south of Dawson City. It started late in July, with a road crew working in a field about 20 miles northwest of Harris.
The fellows were digging up rocks that appeared to have gems in. One fellow in particular, called Alec McCarthy, noticed these in the rocks that were lying along the side of the road that they were constructing.
In Harris, McCarthy visited the commercial hotel run by the Gordon brothers. No one knows what transpired between them, but the next day, the Gordons had staked their claim in the field where McCarthy had found the gems. Word quickly spread. In Saskatoon on the morning of July 29th, the newspaper carried a headline announcing riches that awaited near Harris. Within 2 days, approximately 3,000 men came to stake claims on that field outside of Harris, with the hopes of finding their fortune.
The Gordon brothers, of course, took advantage of this. They had some huge tents set up out at the site, and some of them were entertainment tents. There was poker dens. They had a tent set up over this rock. The largest rock that was out there, what we call the Ruby Rock now, this one right here. And they charged 10 cents to $1 to get in and have a look at this rock.
Practically overnight, the Harris economy boomed. The lumber yard ran out of 4x4s used to stake claims, and the price of a fried egg jumped from a few pennies to more than $1.
There were 4 people in Harris at the time that owned cars, and they were hauling people out to the site from Harris. They charged $2 out, and they charged $5 to come back.
But the Ruby Rush was short-lived. A closer inspection of the stones only revealed shock and disappointment.
What really happened was that after the 10 or 12 days of the Ruby Rush, some of the stones were taken to Saskatoon, and they were evaluated by a jeweler, and he said that they were nothing but garnets.
In the 1990s, local residents finally embraced the lost history of the Ruby Rush.
2 local ladies from town took it as a project to write 8 vignettes, which reproduce this Ruby Rush.
Although the Ruby Rush vignettes haven't been staged since 2000, they were revived in 2005 to celebrate Saskatchewan's centennial. The Ruby Rock was brought into town and placed on display. Harris marked the revival of the Ruby Rush with a yearly community celebration. They will celebrate a past and remember a time when the hope of instant riches brought thousands of people to Harris, Saskatchewan.
Prospectors have replaced explorers in the territory that once was the vast empire of the Hudson's Bay Company. And even greater riches lie in her rocks and boulders. Young men are pouring into the north again.
Mining is a major industry in Saskatchewan, and much of its success can be attributed to prospectors like Wayne Fisher.
I started out basically when I was in high school. I read an article in the old Life magazine about a staking rush in Ontario, and it actually had really neat pictures of guys out in the bush staking claims.
People attracted to the prospecting life were independent, free thinkers. They had an enterprising spirit and a love of the outdoors.
If you were just on your own and you were going to go prospecting, what you need is an area. You plan how you're going to go there, usually by float plane is usually how people travel, or by canoe.
When a prospector finds a place that looks promising, he uses the tools of the trade to decide if it's worth staking.
And then everybody needs a hand lens, and when you pan gold, and you can magnify it, then you can really see it, because lots of times your gold is really, really fine. You definitely need a grub hole. If you don't have a grub hole, then really you're not a prospector.
Once a prospector determines that there is something of value in the area, the next step is to stake it.
And when they stake them, they set up posts in the ground of a particular size and a pattern, and they lay these out and they put up a diagram, and then they provide all this information. They draw sketches and all that kind of stuff, and they come and they register the claims.
The determination and hard work of prospectors in Saskatchewan led to important discoveries of copper, gold, and uranium. Their hard work laid the foundation for the Saskatchewan mining industry. It created jobs and provided an economic boost for the province.
The big picture is the fact they developed metals in the province and the export of them and the development for them. That's really the opportunity. Who else would develop uranium and gold prospects and diamonds and that sort of thing?
Remote regions echo with the shrill sounds of drilling. And these young men will have tales of uranium to tell their grandchildren.
Since the beginning of Saskatchewan's history, mining has been vital to the province's economic health. In the 1940s, uranium was first discovered and then exploited by the province.
There was a demand for uranium for military purposes, and the federal government in 1944 formed El Dorado Mining and Refining.
El Dorado sent a number of prospectors to investigate the possibility of mining uranium in the Athabasca Basin. They found the richest source of uranium in the world. The mines also meant the development of a new community. This led to the revival of the gold mining ghost town of Goldfields.
It was located in a very rocky promontory of Lake Athabasca, and expansion of the area was difficult. So when we had this huge boom started in 1948, the town of Uranium City was created about 10 miles to the northwest in a more open area that allowed expansion.
The only way to reach Uranium City was by plane. Its remoteness and isolation helped develop a tight-knit community. By the late 50s, uranium mining had pushed the population of the city to over 4,000. But this trend was not to last.
By 1958, not so much uranium was needed. After 1960, there were only two mines operating, that of El Dorado Mining and Refining, the Ace Fay deposit, and the Gunner Mine.
The Gunner Mine shut down in 1963, leaving the El Dorado Mine to carry on uranium extraction. Costs rose as the mine was dug deeper. In order to excavate more cost-effectively, El Dorado sought to attract highly qualified miners.
They realized that they had to offer better facilities than they had at that time. So they built a lot of new houses, very attractive houses. They also bought better machinery and went to a new method of mining underground that would be faster and cheaper.
Unfortunately, the investment did not improve the mine's profitability, and in 1982 the mine was closed. Residents were shocked and angry. The closure of the El Dorado mine led to a mass exodus of residents and mine workers. While El Dorado provided resettlement funds for its employees, The amount did not cover the cost of flying out large items such as furniture, and many families left with only a suitcase in hand.
Here was a town that had 3,500 people. 200 were perhaps left behind, so there were 9 houses out of 10 were empty, still with furniture in them, boats in the backyard and outboard motors and so on.
Today, Uranium City has a population of approximately 200. Still, former residents have not forgotten the spirit that helped sustain this northern town.
The community spirit lives on. There is a non-profit organization called Friends of Uranium City. They hold Uranium City reunions every 3 to 4 years. So I think that's a great testament to the community spirit that was developed there.
Despite the difficult history of uranium mining, Saskatchewan is still the leading producer of uranium, contributing 30% of the world output from mines in Rabbit Lake, Key Lake, and Clough Lake.
When your cup runneth over, you addeth another. And when that cup fills to the brim, you add another, and another, and another again. Prosperity is not always measured in dollars and cents, but by the size of your trophy case.
The Saskatoon Hilltops are the oldest, most successful junior football club in Canada. The Hilltops were an aggressive, hard-running, hard-tackling team. In their first year, coaches Holt and Babineau brought the Hilltops to the Saskatchewan Championship. It was to be the first of many winning seasons.
I guess this is our 58th year, and we've won 12 Canadian championships. Currently, we've won 3 in a row, 2001, 2002, and 2003.
Although they play the same game, today's Hilltops team is much different from the original 1921 edition.
Our budget now is about $190,000, and we have 60 to 65 players. When I played, there were 32 players. We have 8 coaches now, and when I played again, we had 2 coaches.
The Hilltops can boast an amazing lineage of players turned professional and others who have gone on to greatness outside of the game.
Well, we have had over 30 players go and play in the CFL, and we've had players do well academically.
The Hilltops stand for more than just football and winning. Being part of the team is an important learning experience for each and every player.
Well, when we take on young players right out of high school, they might be 18 years old, they learn discipline, regimentation, and team play, and fair play. There's no one kid that's going to win everything. You need an entire team.
After 54 years of winning seasons and national championships, the Hilltops are more than just a great football team. They're an important part of a Saskatchewan legacy. Notre Dame campus is a state-of-the-art education facility with science and computer labs, Olympic-sized ice rink, gymnasium and training center, and 5 residential complexes.
Just the whole environment is probably the best part of being here. All the teachers are trying to help you get to where you want to be, and you're surrounded by people who are also trying to do the best they can.
Athol Murray College of Notre Dame has earned a reputation for producing graduates with both academic and athletic excellence. More than 90% of the graduates go on to post-secondary educations, many of them with scholarships. Notre Dame College traces its history to 1920, when the Sisters of Charity of St. Louis opened a convent and a residential school in Wilcox, Saskatchewan. In 1927, a new parish priest arrived in the village, Monsignor Athol Murray. Père Murray was largely responsible for shaping the college. Murray was born in Toronto in 1892. While studying law, he was impacted by the words of St. Augustine, "To him who does what in him lies, God will not deny his grace." Murray joined the seminary and became a priest. His religious education convinced Père Murray that young minds should be fostered by teaching the classics, constantly challenging their intellect, and feeding them a steady spiritual diet.
In our Christian ethics class, we learn about Athol Murray, his philosophies, achievement with character, the chivalry under God, take the individual initiative. Notre Dame graduates are expected to achieve with character.
Père Murray's influence was felt beyond the classroom as he also coached hockey. Murray's passion left an impression on his students, his players, and the sport itself. In 1968, Murray was appointed to the Order of Canada. He was later inducted into Canada's Sports Hall of Fame and also into the Hockey Hall of Fame. The Notre Dame Hounds are known throughout the hockey world, but the school also offers a full spectrum of sports programs from rugby to golf. The hockey program has produced players who have gone on to the NHL, AHL, and Team Canada, including Brad Richards and Curtis Joseph.
It's a place that has a storied reputation for getting players to the next level. You're allowed to develop so quickly, and you can maintain your focus on your sport and pretty much go as far as you want.
Athol Murray's influence at Notre Dame College was recognized after his death in 1975, when the school was renamed in his honor. With a tradition of excellence, Notre Dame College lives out Père Murray's motto for the school: struggle and emerge.
You learn who you are, and you're developing as a whole person and discovering what you really enjoy doing and what you want to be.
So you get it. Then you want more. So you work a little harder, and then you get more. And if you're smart, or lucky, or a little of both, you wind up with a lot more than you started with. Now you need some place to put it. But the hour is up, and the coffee can is full. What you need is a homegrown Saskatchewan solution to your prosperity problem.
We're on the leading edge of the technology and software in Saskatchewan with the introduction of the online banking system, the ATMs, and the debit card.
It's just a bit of plastic with a magnetic strip, but 40% of all purchases in Canada are made by debit card, an innovation that started in Saskatchewan. In the 1970s, Ed Gebert at Sherwood Credit Union in Regina believed that the key to client service was a computerized client database.
We firstly introduced the online banking system. We had one database for all members. We introduced a personal identification card, which gave us access to the member's account.
In 1976, the first automated teller machines were introduced.
We started off with 2 machines. They were so well accepted by our members, we expanded to the other major areas: Saskatoon, Moose Jaw, Yorkton, Swift Current. So the program worked very well.
The success of the automated tellers in Saskatchewan caught the attention of banks around the world.
At that time, the banks were piloting standalone ATMs, not hooked up in a real-time system. But when they saw what happened in Saskatchewan, they quickly installed ATMs in their branches.
A few years later, the Credit Union Transaction Services, CUITS, started work on a second banking innovation.
Early 1980s, the CUITS introduced a debit card. Members could make purchases at the retail store and pay for them utilizing their debit card, which would then be automatically deducted right out of their account. They didn't have to write a check, they didn't have to do anything.
The automated teller and the debit card, 2 Saskatchewan innovations that have changed the face of commerce.
Prosperity is in the eye of the beholder. There are a lot of ways to measure it, even more ways to feel it, and about 1.57 gazillion ways to lose it. The people of Saskatchewan have seen it all, done it all, and if there's a way that hasn't been found yet, just give it some time. Prosperity in Saskatchewan turns like the weather.